Wrong way, rookie. Go on. Here, Rook. Yeah, there you go. Push her in. Push him in. Good girl. Go get her. Bring her over here. Nice. Nice. There we go. There we go. Okay, that is everyone. Go eat. So that was some pretty wild, chaotic herding on Rookie's part, but her first birthday is in literally like 2 days, so I'm not expecting big things from her, but I like what I'm seeing so far. I'm not letting her chase the goats down like a psycho. I really just want her to practice figuring out what she has to do in order to turn a goat or a herd of goats around. So I really liked that. There's a lot of different ways that she's doing really well. There's a lot of different ways where she needs some practice. So, you know, obviously she's only just going to be a year old, which is when most people really start working on the herding dogs. And I am scheduled for a clinic in August. So hopefully we can get that party started as soon as possible. Where are you going? Hmm? You a good dog? Bang! You funny girl. Well, it's raining again, which is awesome. Awesome, awesome weather. We needed that again, so it's very nice that we got it again. It might make the barley lay a little bit flat for silaging, but we'll take it. So we're still milking. I always get asked, do you milk the cows by yourself? The answer is most of the time. There's actually 2 people for every milking shift. There's one person that is in the parlor at all times, and then there's another person that goes and scrapes the barn. So we clean the barn while we milk cows. And usually I'm not a huge fan of scraping the barn. I just prefer to milk cows. But this morning I was like, you know what? I'll go scrape the barn. So this is what we're working with. All this caca. So we'll open this door here. And it is beautifully miserable outside. This is some of my absolute favorite weather. Turn this manure pump on. Open this door. And then we'll hop into this lovely unit, attach this attachment, and go scrape the barn. That's a lot of water. Unreal. I talked to my dad and he says we got an inch of rain overnight. A whole inch. Isn't that crazy? So it's been wet and yucky and miserable all day, gloriously miserable. And this is what the gravel road looks like. I have my 4-wheel drive on because I'm still getting used to that rear wheel drive. Whoa. Still getting used to that rear wheel drive in the truck. So this is insane. I cannot believe we got an inch. The canola looks amazing. So good for the crops though, except for our barley. All right, folks, we got an inch and a half of rain in the last 24 hours, and it has completely flattened our barley, which sucks. So this is what we're looking at. From the drone shots, you can tell that's pretty flat. This is what it looks like right now. It's not quite reaching that like dry dough stage yet. So there's still some moisture in there. So not quite ready yet. We were maybe going to attempt silaging this Thursday, Friday. Today's Sunday. But we're gonna have to let this dry out a little bit, especially since it's all flat now. Because when it's laying flat, it dries out a lot slower. So yeah, but it's done what it needs to do. There's going to be a lot of tonnage here, and the heading is really, really nice. So it's unfortunate. It's going to be making it a lot more difficult for me to cut, but this kind of crop is actually what I was trained to cut on when I was like 14 or 15 years old. And we had an older swather at that point that didn't tilt the table down well enough to pick up most of the plant. So in my younger years, I learned to cut on flat barley. So I'm not too worried about it. Fortunately, I know what I need to do in order to get most of the crop off the field. So at least there's that. It's not something I'm not familiar with. So yeah, I know cutting southward is going to be more of a pain in the butt than it is cutting northward, because now the grain is going towards the south. So if I cut against the grain, I'm going to be having really nice shaves going northward, but coming south is where it's going to look a little funny. And depending on how high Boss Man wants me to cut it, I may be leaving up to a quarter of the plant in the field, just because we don't want too much dirt going into the swath. It's hard on the swather, it's hard on the chopper, it's hard on the mixing equipment, it's hard on the cows. So yeah, less dirt the better, but it is what it is. Hopefully we get a couple of windy days to dry this out a little bit and fluff it up, but for the most part, this is just gonna be flat. That's gonna be it for today's video though, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please like and subscribe and share it with a friend. And I'll see you all in the next one. Bye. I'll be announcing the winners of the giveaway, by the way, in my next video, so stay tuned.